in background. Number one is the time period of the book of Job. If we were to put the Bible into chronological order, we would have the first few chapters of Genesis and then the book of Job. But because Job takes place pretty much in not even the last part of Genesis. It's more closer to the front. After the fall of man, probably after the flood, but maybe around the same time as Abraham is the time that Job lived. And the second thing about the book of Job is it kind of starts out really fast. First couple of chapters, man, there's a whole bunch of information dumped on us there in those chapters. But man, you hit about chapter 3 or 4. For the next 30 chapters, it is painfully slow. And it's just like all of a sudden, chapter 1, chapter 2 is like boom, 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 boom. Then all of a sudden, you think this is the suffering as you're trying to read through it. But we're going to wade through this book. Now, don't worry. We're not going to go exactly verse by verse or chapter by chapter. But we're going to look at some of the important things that come from this book. Things for our life. Now, those first couple of chapters, it's really busy. Whole lot of stuff, whole lot of information. So let's just jump right in. And we've kind of in the last few weeks established a pattern. We just want to go through verse by verse. And kind of chapter 1, we're going to kind of just work our way through. And rather than have you stand and we read the whole chapter and then go back to verse 1 and start through, let's just start at verse 1 and work our way through it. So here we go. And as we do, the first thing I want you to see, I want you to see some of the main characters of the story. Now we're going to find some other characters in the story, but I want us to start with the main characters of the story. And if you take the whole book, we're going to have 3. 3 main characters that we're going to put in this story. The first main character is Job. So as we begin, the main character of the story, the first one is Job. And to understand Job, chapter 1 gives us everything. Actually, the first 5 or 6 verses of chapter 1 tells us everything we need to know about Job. I want you to see a few things. First of all, Job is upstanding. Look at verse 1 here, chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And the man was perfect and upright and one that feared God and eschewed evil. So in the land of Uz, Uz is somewhere over in southern Arabia. We really don't know for sure, but we kind of get that idea because later in this chapter, there's 2 groups of people who come and attack Job's stuff. One is the Sabians, and the other is the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans would have been in the Mesopotamia area. Sabians was South Arabia. So Uz was probably somewhere in the middle. We can kind of just assume that. So somewhere in southern Arabia, and there's this man named Job. But I want you to look at what it says about Job here. There was a man named Job. He was perfect and upright and one that feared God and eschewed evil. Now this is the description that the Bible gives about Job. Now I want you to think for a moment. If God were to record your life, what description would He use? Because we know the Bible is God's Word. It's the inspired, inerrant, infallible Word of God. So every word in it, God has said is to be there. So the description of Job, and later we actually see that that's what God says. The description is he's perfect, upright, he fears God, and eschews evil. What would God say about you? When I stopped to think about that, that scared me. There was a man in Oldfields, his name was Dan. He had about half his marbles, and the ones he had were loose. What would God say about us? And here he said, Job's perfect and upright. He feared God and eschewed it. Here's what we know about him. We know he has complete integrity. He's a man who fears God and he stays away from evil. So as we look at Job, Job is an upstanding man. Now I want you to keep this in mind. I told you that the book of Job takes place somewhere around the first part of the book of Genesis. So when we're thinking that, here's Job with complete integrity, fearing God, just an upstanding man before the days of Moses. Before the law was given. Before the tabernacle was built. Job was living for God. So when we look at him, we see Job is just an upstanding man. In everything, he was godly. But the second thing I want you to see is Job is blessed. Look on to the next verse. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. So just looking at the blessing, in that day and time, sons were considered a blessing from God. Because a son would carry on the family name. A son would be the one to be the heir to the family and you get the land and the possessions and keep that going. So it was viewed that if you had a son, that was a blessing from God. If you didn't have a son, then God was frowning on you. Job had 7 sons. He also had 3 daughters. So we see he was blessed. But go on to the next one. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels. Now, starting to look at what this man has here, he has 7,000 sheep. Now, I tell you what, I can't wrap my head around that. Because I went to the other day, I was traveling, and I went to a place that I knew they had sheep in the field. And I've always been a counter. I got it from my dad. I sat there at the stop sign and I counted the visible sheep in the field. Now this field looked like it was really full of sheep. There was 28. Look how many Job had. We're talking about a man who his wealth, and not only 7,000 sheep, he had 3,000 camels. So this is a man of wealth. Then it says he had 500 yoke of oxen. So the Bible says he had how many oxen did he have? 1,000. I thought somebody would say 500. He had 500 yokes. That's 2. So he had at least 1,000 oxen. He had 500 female donkeys. And you said, why does it list the females? Very important. Female donkeys protect the herd. Female donkeys. Why do you see sometimes donkeys put in with the sheep? Why do you see donkeys put in with the goats? Why do you see donkeys put in with the cows? They protect the herd. And it's the females that normally do the protection. So he had 500 female donkeys. When we look at it, I want you to see what it says. His substance was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke oxen, 500 donkeys, or female donkeys, and a very great household. So great was this man. It says that he was the greatest of all the men in the East. So when we look to Job, we not only see he was an upstanding man, he was blessed. You say, how blessed was he? I found something online that did the math for me. To take all of Job's assets, all his donkeys, his camels, his sheep, his oxen, everything, and put it into a perspective today. Job would be worth $20,800,000. Job was blessed. It says here in this verse, he was the richest person in the area. So as we look at the character of Job, we see he's upstanding. We see he's blessed. I want you to see something else. Job was a good father. Let me prove it to you. Look at verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Now you look at that verse, and the first thing that pops out is, his kids had parties. All the sons would have a party. Each son would have a party in his house. But notice something. When the sons had a party in the house, they invited the rest of the family there. Each son had a party each day in his house. And all the others come and they invited their sisters as well. You say, well, what's so great about that? That tells us something. Job had something going right when it comes to raising his family. This is a very wealthy man. The wealthiest man in the whole area. And all of his kids got along. Now think about that for a moment. He's a man of money, a lot of money, and all of his kids got along. How strange is that today? I've seen families split and fight over $10. And who's going to get it? Before somebody dies. Here, they're getting along. What does it tell? It tells us, not only is Job upstanding, not only is he blessed, he's a good father. And we look at that. Now, when we put all this together, here's a godly man that's been well blessed. Job is full. The best way I can describe him is Job is full. But it's easy to praise God when you're full in it. When everything is going on, to God be the glory. I I hope everybody watches football. It's a wonderful sport. But you ever notice something? Somebody runs through the other guys and gets in the end zone and he spikes the football and he does his little dance and he points to the sky. To God be the glory. I got a touchdown. It's easy to give God the glory when you get the touchdown. How many of them do you see give God the glory when they get tackled about 1 foot from the goal line? You don't see them go, oh, to God be the glory. I got tackled here. It's easy to praise God when you're full. Job's full. And we see him worshiping God. He's blessed. And he's able to praise God when he's full. But I want you to see something else about Job. Not only is he upstanding, blessed and a good father, Job is spiritual. Look at verse 6. Now let me back up. I went too far. 5. And it was so, when the days of feasting were going about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now, I want you, that last line that Job did continue, I want you to underline that. Because that's going to be very important. When we look at Job and we see how he wasn't just a good man. He was a godly man. He was a man who feared God, and he shows us that through his actions. When we look at Job would get up early in the morning and he would go out and he would offer sacrifices, not only on his behalf, but on behalf of his children. He said, perhaps my children have cursed God in their hearts and didn't even know it. So I want to offer a sacrifice on their behalf. God, I want to pray for my kids. And it says, and he did this continually. 2 things I want you to see here. Number 1, Job was sensitive to spiritual things. Now keep in mind, Job was blessed. But when we think about him being spiritual, he's sensitive to spiritual things because he didn't just take his blessings for granted. He just looked and said, hey, I'm the richest man around. There's nobody in this whole neighborhood, nobody in this area that even comes close to me. So I'm just me. I'm Job. I'm blessed. He didn't take that for granted. He's still going out and worshiping God. So he's sensitive to spiritual things. But the other thing, he's active in his relationship with God. It says he continues to do that. He does this, verse 5, continually. Thus did Job do. It just wasn't a one-time occurrence. It wasn't one day Job got up early and said, you know what, it's Sunday. I think I'm going to go sacrifice for my kids and pray to God. This was a continual thing for Job. He was a spiritual man. He worshiped God. So as we look at Job, we need to see and follow throughout this story Job's character. Job was upstanding. He was blessed. He was a great father. He was also a very spiritual man. Now the second character that we find in the story, who should really have been first, but the second one we find is Almighty God. And we look here, and a lot of times, he's referred to as the Lord, many times in the book of Job. And we know who God is. He's the awesome and almighty. He's God. And we're going to see his character unveiled throughout this. And here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get into a lot more of who God is. So I don't want to give you a whole series in one day. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just want you to know that the second character is Almighty God. The third one that we see is we see the character of Satan. When we look at verse 6, it says, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. Here we're introduced in the book of Job to Satan. And when we look at Satan, there's a couple of things we need to see here. Here, Satan is coming before God. Satan comes before God. Now, I put that in, but I want you to understand. Satan is not placed in priority higher than God. Here, he's just, it says all the sons of men are come together, and Satan is there. Now, folks, I want you to know there's a whole lot about the heavenlies I don't understand. There's a whole lot that I don't know. And this is one of them. I know from the book of Ezekiel that Satan fell from heaven. A third of the angels came with him. I know because of his sin, we know that he tried to become God. He thought he was greater than God, and he would just rule everything. And because of that, he fell in sin. We know that's where sin came from. That he brings it to mankind and introduces that in temptation. We know these things about, but here, he fell in sin, but now he's coming before God. I don't understand that. That's just one of those things that I don't know. I don't understand. Here's what I know. Because Scripture tells me. The sons of God were meeting together, and Satan was there. But notice verse 7 what God says. And the Lord said to Satan, Whence cometh thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. So the sons of God are meeting in heaven, and Satan comes in. And God says, Where'd you come from? What you been doing? And Satan gives him an answer here. God says, where'd you come from? Satan says, going to and fro on the earth. Now, when we look in 1 Corinthians or the book of Ephesians, it tells us that Satan is given an authority of the Lord of this earth. Right now, he's the prince and the power of this earth. So what Satan is doing, here he comes before God. God says, where you been? What you been doing? Satan says, I've been ruling my place. I've been taking care of things. The earth, I've been handling that. I'm large and in charge. And the kind of picture that we have is Satan coming before God, and God says, where you been? What you been doing? I've been doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm ruling the earth. It's under my control. Everything I do, that's what happens. Everything I say, that's what takes place. And he comes before God, and that's kind of where he's at. He says, what do you mean ask me where I come from? I've been ruling my place. I'm large and in charge. Then we see Satan questioned by God. Not only Satan comes before God, but Satan is questioned by God. And God goes on in that next verse. And the Lord said to Satan, Have you considered my servant Job? As I read that, I had one thought. God, if you ever think about doing that to me, please don't. Satan comes in. God says, where you been? What you been doing? I've been ruling my earth. I'm in my place. I'm in charge down there. I've been taking care of things. God says, consider Job. Have you thought about him? Read the rest of that verse. God not only says, if you consider Job, but he goes on to describe Job. Have you considered my servant Job? There's none like him in the earth. Now this is God's description. A perfect and upright man, one that fears God and eschews evil. God says to Satan, where'd you come from? What you doing? And Satan says, what do you mean what am I doing? I'm taking care of my place. I've been ruling the earth. God says, have you considered my servant Job? Job's on your earth. He's in your place. He's not under your control. He's not ruled by you. He's an upright man. He fears me, not you. He runs from evil. You can talk about Job. I don't know about you, but I sure hope God never does that to me. Because I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Now, here's one of the ways, I'll give you a little preacher secret. Here's one of the ways that I prepare when I'm looking at a passage. I realize real quick, I don't know anything. It's not that I don't know it all, I don't know anything. So I have to do study. I have to pull out commentaries. I look at stuff online. I'll take a passage and for a few weeks I'll listen to preachers and other preachers preaching on that passage. Well, I'll tell you what, when you get right here in the book of Job, there's a lot of guys who have it all messed up. Because one of the preachers I listened to, he looked at this passage, he read this, and he goes, folks, this ought to give you comfort right here. This tells us that Satan can't do anything that God won't let him do. God's in charge. I'm thinking, that's not what I got out of it. What I got out of it was, God says, God initiated this. Have you considered my servant Job? It's not just God letting Satan do it. They're teaming up on him. They're both God's saying, yeah, you think you're large and in charge. Right there. Check him out. He's mine. You know, did God think that Satan was just going to go, oh, God, I stand corrected? God knew better than that. He knew that Satan was going to challenge. So it wasn't a comfort that God, Satan can only do what God lets him do. They're teaming up on Job. They're coming to get him. And as he begins to look at it, he begins to single it out. God's point, Satan, Job's in your place. You said you're ruling. You said you're in control. Take a look there. Look at Job. There's nobody like him on the earth. He's perfect. An upright man. He fears me. He runs from evil. He is the finest man on the earth. And Satan, he's in your territory. You don't control him. He's with me. God's saying that Job worships me. He serves me. Now that brings us to the question of the book of Job. It brings us to, the whole point of Job isn't just about the suffering. The suffering is the thing that strips away all the junk so you can see what's really there. The question of the book of Job is, who do we worship? Here's Satan. He said, I'm large and in charge and I'm ruling my place. God says, think about Job. He worships me. He worships Almighty God. So we have to ask ourselves the question, who do we worship? And folks, I want to tell you something. It's a whole lot easier to ask that question now. Because there will come a day in everyone's life when all the junk's going to be stripped away. And we're going to see who we really worship. So we ask that, we may have days like that while on this earth. But if not, there's a day when we're before Jesus and everything else is gone. We can't put on the false face of a hypocrite. We can't put on our loving Jesus smile and say, oh, I loved you so much. It's all gone. We have to ask the question and ask it now. Who do we worship? Now we've looked at the characters of the story. It's brought us down to that great question. So I want us to see Satan's reaction. As we look at these questions, but now we come to Satan's reaction. Satan says, you're right. Job worships you. Verse 9 says, then Satan answered the Lord and says, does Job fear God for naught? Have you not made a hedge about him and about his house and all that he has on every side? You've blessed the work of his hands, his substance, and his increase. He says, yeah, you're right. There is one in my territory that worships you, and his name is Job. But my goodness, why wouldn't he? You give him everything. You've blessed him beyond measure. One of the research things I did was, who are the richest men in the Bible? And Job was at the top of the list. It's believed that the wealth of Job was greater than the wealth of Abraham. And remember, Abraham was considered like his own nation. Him and Lot split up because they had too much stuff. Why wouldn't he, Job, Satan says? Why wouldn't he worship you? You keep giving him stuff. You just keep blessing. He worships you, you bless him more. You bless him more, he worships you. Kind of remind me of a boss I had at one point in time. A great guy to work for. You know why it was great? He bought me Dr. Peppers. I mean, he was a nice guy. He was an excellent boss. But one of the things that I put him to the top of the list is he bought me Dr. Peppers. He was the type of boss. It was a hot day, middle of the afternoon. You're about wore out. You're sluggish. He'd get on the radio and he'd say, "Hey, somebody run down and open up the pop machine at the shop and bring everybody back a soft drink." He'd go bring everybody back, and at that time my drink of choice was Dr. Pepper. And so I'd drink the Dr. Pepper. Oh, he's a good boss. A day maybe the job was hard and tough and we worked really hard and all of a sudden he'd say, "You know what, guys? I think we deserve a break. Let's all run down the shop and let's get us a drink. I'm buying." I'd get a Dr. Pepper. And I looked, you know what we did? We worked our tails off for that man. Because he gave us Dr. Peppers. You know, and you know, so it's like I knew it, hot day, Ronnie's going to go buy pop. You know, hard work, we're going to take off a little early. He's going to go buy some drink. Man, we work hard for him. Satan says, God sure he serves you. But you keep giving him stuff. You keep blessing him. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he keep blessing you or worshiping you if you keep giving him stuff? But remember the question? Who do we worship? Satan says, take everything from him and then see what happens. Have you not made a hedge about him and his house and everything on the inside? But look at verse 11. But put forth thy hand now and touch him, all that he has, and he will curse you to your face. Satan says, you drop that hedge. God, you got such a hedge around him. Nobody can get to him. Nobody can touch him. You know, he worships you, you give him stuff. You give him stuff, he worships you. That hedge is huge. Nobody can touch Job. But God, you drop that hedge, he'll curse you. He'll curse you in your face. And you know what? There's a lot of truth to that. When we're hurting, sometimes our true character comes out. When we're struggling, when somebody's hurt us, oh, the claws come out, the fangs come out. Vengeance is mine, says me. Because I've been hurt. Satan says, you take away the hedge, God, he's going to curse you to his face. But remember the question? Who do we worship? Sometimes we really don't know the answer to that until all is stripped away. So as we go on in Job's story, I want us to see number 2, that all is stripped away. Look at verse 12. The Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power, only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. God says, okay, Satan, you think if I don't have the hedge around him, he'll serve you? Fine. I'll drop the hedge. Everything that he has, you can do whatever you want with it. Just don't touch Job. All this stuff, you can do whatever you want. Everything, and it says that Satan went out of his presence. He now had, God says do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show God that this man will curse him to his face. I'm going to take away everything he has. I'm going to strip him of everything. And look at the next verses and look what he does. Verse 13, and there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger to Job and said, the oxen were plowing, and the donkeys feeding beside them, and the Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. So all of a sudden, you know, his kids is over there having a celebration, a party of some sort. They're all together in somebody's house, and Job's there, and all of a sudden he comes running in. Servant says, they're dead. They're all dead. The Sabeans come in, and all the oxen and all the donkeys, they're gone. All your servants that were there, they're killed. Verse 16, while he was yet speaking, now this wasn't like days, weeks, months later. That guy's still standing there, finishing telling Job the bad news. And it says, while he was yet speaking, there came another. And he says, fire of God's fallen from heaven and has burned up your sheep and your servants and consumed them. I only am escaped to tell thee. So most commentators think it's probably some kind of lightning or something. Fire comes from heaven. Now all the sheep's gone. All the servants that were taking care of the sheep. While he was yet speaking in verse 17, there came also another and says, the Chaldeans were made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away. Yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Wow. 7,000 sheep. All the camels, all the donkeys, everything gone. All the servants killed. Job is being stripped. But that's not the end of it. Look at verse 18. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, and behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped to tell thee. Sheep gone. Camels gone. Donkeys gone. Oxen gone. Servants gone. Then all of a sudden, Job, all your kids was together in one house, and here come this great wind. Tornado maybe. Flatten the house. All your kids are dead. Remember the question? Who do we worship? Satan said, you strip everything away. That hedge that you have around him, God, take it down. And he will curse you. We see here, all is stripped away. Now look at verse 20. Then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down on the ground and worshipped. He ripped it. His heart was torn. And the way they showed mourning was they would rip their clothes. He rips his clothes. He shaves his head. He is in mourning. He is in deep mourning. He's lost everything. And it says that he fell down on the ground and worshipped. Even in mourning, he fell on the ground and worshipped and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. As the Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Look at verse 22. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. When all was stripped away, Job still worshipped. That's a great story for Job. But we have to ask ourselves the question, what do we learn from it? So the last thing, I want to look at what we learn. Now, in recap, let's look at where Job's at. First part, we see Job full. He's blessed. He's got camels. He's got sheep. He's got donkeys. He's got oxen. He's got servants. He's got kids. Job is blessed. And what do we see him doing when he's blessed, when he's full? We see him worshiping God. But then we see everything stripped away. He's at the bottom. And he still worships. Now we look at our lives and we say, I really can't compare to Job. But you know what? We really can't. Maybe it hasn't been everything dumped on us all within a matter of moments like it was Job, but thinking of things stripped away, we can relate to that. The times in our life when we feel we're at the bottom. We feel we can relate to Job. We look at our life and we say, everything's a mess. I can relate to Job because my life is all messed up. We look at our family and we say, my family is all messed up. We look at our jobs and we say, our job is all messed up. The whole bottom's fell out. We can relate to Job in those ways. We begin to look at the things in our life that happened, the tough times. Maybe it's work, maybe it's family, maybe it's income. We're looking at the bills, we're looking at the check. We're realizing the bills is way higher than the check. How am I going to pay my bills? We feel like everything's been stripped away. Maybe we've lost our job. We hear more and more of folks losing their jobs. Maybe we've lost our car. Maybe we've lost our house. All to us has been stripped away. I might not be exactly like Job, but we have those times in our life. I I tried to think of one of the hardest times for my life. I was in Bible college. Tough time anyway. No money. Little job. Studying was way hard. But there was good news. My wife had just found out we were expecting our second child. Oh, we're so happy, we're telling everybody. We told our parents. We told our kids. Sarah was our only kid. Well, we told our friends, told folks we worked with, we told folks we went to school with. It's tough times, but God's blessing us with a second child. One day Holly says, something don't feel right. Something's wrong. I can just tell. A little bit after that, Dan, I think we need to go to the hospital. Next day, we end up in the doctor's office. You guessed it. We lost that child. I wanted to blame God. I wanted to be mad at God. I wanted to throw Bible college out the window and never go back. I wanted that to have been my last day in church. I'd been stripped. And I wanted to be angry. And I wanted to be mad. And you know, when I think about that time of my life, in my family's life, I can relate to Job. So the question comes to me, who do I worship? Who do I worship when everything else is gone? What do I learn? I learned something. The universe don't center around me. Worship don't center around me. Life don't center around me. It centers around God. Everything I thought I had, gone. But life don't center around me. Who do we worship? Who do we worship? That answer is simple. We worship what we think life centers around. Say, well, Pastor Dan, I'm in church this morning. I've sang for all the songs. I prayed when you prayed. I've followed along in the Bible. I've enjoyed being here. I'm not one of those. I'd never do that. I'd never think that the world centers around me. Now, this is probably not the best Sunday to ask this question, because the time changed. I forgot one time when the time changed. I showed up at church the wrong time. Did you say, Pastor Dan, I don't think everything centers around me. Let me ask you 3 questions. What time do you normally get to church? You know, for whatever you're coming for. Sunday school? I will come dragging in 10 o'clock. They're not going to start yet anyway. Why are we not here on time? Well, because I was in bed, or I took a long shower, or I did this. Who's it centered around? Well, it's my family. It's my friends. The phone rang. Doesn't get here. You know, our Sunday morning routine for my family is the same. Praise team practice starts at 9 o'clock. I have to be here and have all my other stuff done by 9 o'clock. I'm a pastor. They will start without me. Who does my universe center around? You want to ask who you worship? Is God's time important to you? Let me ask you a second question. Let's just take this morning. Was I ready for God? Well, was I ready? Was I ready for an encounter with Almighty God? You know, all my world centers around God, Pastor Dan. When I came for corporate worship, was I ready for God? Or was I ready to tell the person next to me, behind me, in front of me, something? I've noticed something. Many of us, we're not ready for God. We're ready for ourselves. Ever since the first of the year, every Sunday, we've started with a video. And we dim the lights and kind of to give us that opportunity, if we haven't yet, just to focus on God, on worship, on prayer, confessing our sins, asking God to work in our lives. But you know what we do? Oh, Pastor Dan, God's the center of my world. I just talked during that preparation time. I didn't think about praying to ask God to do anything great. And you know, when the offering plate was passed, I thought of it while you were praying for the offering. It must have been from God. I have to tell the person next to me something. So that was the perfect time I did. Are we ready for God? I mean, we can look at it anyway. If I'm the Sunday school teacher, am I ready for my class? If I'm the children's worker, am I ready for the children? If I'm the pastor, am I ready to read God's Word? Is God's time important? Am I ready for God? And number 3, where's my focus? If we're just talking about corporate worship this morning, where's my focus? Now, you know, it's kind of easy sometimes to get on our teenagers. Because every once in a while I'm up here preaching my little heart out, I look back and they're Snapchatting. You know, I know the difference between using the Bible, your phone for a Bible, and Snapchat. When I look and you're going, you didn't just come across a stumbling place in Scripture. You know, some of you forget to turn the sound out, and I hear it. You just took a picture. Where's your focus? That'd be easy to get on them. They're all sitting here. But you know, I know where they learned it. Because I watch everybody else. You know, it just came to my brain. It must have been from Jesus. That smart comment I had to tell the person in front of me. I just remembered I forgot to check the weather, so I did while the preacher was preaching. Let me ask you a question. What's the center of your worship? Now, maybe we've decided it wasn't God. What do we do about it? Do we want to wait for the day that everything's stripped away? Or do we want to make God the center of our worship now? I'm going to choose now. You know where it starts? Confessing our sin, asking God to forgive it, turning from it, and following Jesus. God's made it that simple. Lord, I've been the center of my universe. I've worshipped me. Please forgive me. And turn from that sin and follow Jesus. God tells us He will. The song was just talking about music. But it said when the music fades and all stripped away. When that happens, who are you worshiping this morning? Maybe this morning while we sing this final song, You just right where you're at need to go to God and say, forgive me. I want to focus on you. I want to worship you. Maybe you've had those times. You can already relate to Job. Because everything is stripped away. You're everything. Maybe you're like me, you didn't handle it too well. God still loves us. He forgives us. And just like the father with the prodigal son, He's waiting for us to come back. God, forgive me. Maybe today you just want to know how to worship God more. Maybe you want to surrender your all in your life to Him and get His gift of eternal life. Whatever God's laid on your heart, we're going to sing a song. While we sing that hymn, you take care of that with God in prayer. Maybe you want to come to this altar and say, God, here it is. I'm leaving it here. I'm turning to you. Maybe you've given your life to Jesus. And it's time to let the world know. What does God want to do in your life this morning? Or better yet, who do you worship? Father God, thank you for your word. Lord, your word's tough on us. And we're struggling. But we really want to worship you. Father, I just want to pray for every person here, every person to ever hear this message, that we will make you the center of our universe. And even if everything's stripped away, we'll still worship you. Have your will, your way in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please stand as we sing page 2.